Welcome to Let's Write This Movie, where we write a screenplay
while sharing the process with the internet.
I am your screenwriter, René Garcia.
And I'm your collaborator, Brian Glass.
Now, let's write this movie.
You never have to ask.
Well, I didn't want to just in the middle of a sentence.
I assume you're always recording.
Buried the body. What? Are we recording?
I didn't bury the body. Oh, dang it.
Exactly. All right.
Anyway, I was just saying that I just feel like a little, out of it today.
Oh, I hear you. Here's the thing. I always hated working at night because your work was something I wanted to get out of the way, and knowing I had to go to work, it made everything before work hard for me to focus on. Like if it was homework or if it was anything else, just anything. I just wanted, I would rather wait and do nothing and then go to work.
Yeah.
Rather than work on something, not knowing if I'm going to get it done before work and then have to stop and then go to work. And it's just that kind of mental switching of gears. I never liked that.
Yeah. And then compound that with the fact that I'm going out of country.
Yeah.
I mean, out of continent, and I've never done that. It's a little bit of the unknown for me.
Of course.
So it's not like my, it's just the unfamiliar is breeding a little bit of, mixed emotions in me right now.
Oh, no, I hear you. I'm the exact same way. As someone who likes to plan and be prepared for anything, or as much as I can plan for, I can imagine the kind of anxiety. And I don't want to characterize what you're feeling as anxiety, but that's the best word I can think of. The anxiety I would feel would be all-consuming. Like I wouldn't, I don't know that I could focus on this project in the way that I really would want to. Yeah.
That being said, I think it'll be a nice relief from what's been going on in my head.
Yeah,
I actually took a break today just to play Monopoly with my wife, just because I'm like, I need to get out of my own head a little bit. Let's just
there you
play.
Go. Hey, Brian, do you have all the lights on in there? I do not. I feel like the light over your right shoulder is out or dim or something. I just feel like there's a darkness there. That's where the devil is sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah, I only have half my lights on. I can change to which ones they are.
No, it's fine. I just was curious. It's not a big deal to me. I don't care.
The light there is off, the light there is on.
Oh, that's fine. As long as you're happy, I'm happy, Brian.
It's more dramatic.
Exactly. The duality of Brian.
I need to do like some dry ice in here.
Yeah.
And they have the real noir look to it, like just streams of light, just beams like go in and out of from complete darkness.
Just get a light under your chin and aim it up.
Exactly.
That's all we need.
That wouldn't be distracting at all, right?
No. Yeah, have no lights but that,
Exactly.
And that's how you pop in. That light just turns on. I am here. Organ music playing. Do 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 do.
Oh. How you doing, René?
I'm fine, Brian. Are we beginning?
Sure.
Now? All right, let's just begin. Let's knock this out so you can get back to your anxiety.
Thanks, dude.
So we're beginning. This is the beginning. We've started.
We have begun.
My week was fine. It was a short week, work-wise. I basically asked my side gig responsibility, hey, it's a short week. Let's skip this week. And he was like, yeah, okay, sounds good. And then it was a short week at work because it's, corporate America celebrates Thanksgiving, typically gives the Friday off as well. So this was a nice little respite work-wise. But then, of course, I had to celebrate Thanksgiving with the family, and that was not as relaxing. I mean, the celebration part was fine, but the preparation of it was, it's always a pain, man. It's a real chore, a literal chore. Had to clean up the apartment.
Right. Oh, they came over.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you about the reasoning when we're not recording, in case my family watches.
Hello, René's family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then of course there was the cleanup, which I'm still kind of like recovering from. So there we are. And then tomorrow, as per our tradition, I have to put up the Christmas lights for my parents.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Every year. Mm-hmm. Renee's task.
Exactly.
Nice. Well, man, I feel you. I feel you, but that's not too bad. It could be worse.
Oh, it could always be worse.
I know it threw you off a little bit in terms of our schedule for Thursday, but this is kind of an oddball show anyhow. So
yeah,
really not the big of a deal.
That's what I'm saying. We're kind of breaking format today, anyway.
Yeah.
So we make up our own rules, people. We're rebels
that's how
that
we
way.
Roll.
Yeah. So, how about you, Brian?
You know, I'll tell you the truth is that since I am going away for about a week, I had a lot of things to plan for, and I have a tendency to kind of plan out my week, and I'm pretty good about keeping a schedule. And so I planned out tasks I'm going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Thursday rolled around, and I remembered it was Thanksgiving. I thought, I got my son home for 2 days, which threw everything for a loop. And the tasks still need to get done before I left. So it just ended up being semi-work days for me, semi-entertain my child day, and a little more stressful than I had hoped going into this weekend.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have not had a rest at all, and tomorrow I'm tackling like 14 hours of travel. So, dude, I'm not excited about that.
No, of course not. Coach.
Oh, am I going coach? I thought you were calling me coach. I'm like,
hey,
what's
coach.
up, team? Let's go.
Let's do it.
Good job. High five up here. I don't know. I don't really know how. I guess on American, it's like there's first class and there's kind of everything else. There's not like business class per se.
Yeah. Coach.
So
if it's not first class, it's coach, Brian.
I guess if that's what it is.
Well, unless we're talking like Spirit, where like it's like you're standing. Don't they have those seats on Spirit?
No.
Right, isn't that a thing yet?
Not yet. No, they've talked about doing it though.
But you've seen the schematics for that though, right?
Yeah. You're standing in the back, just like, more of us can fit side to side.
Well, they give you this like little bicycle seat, you know, just this very just small, this smidgen of an outcropping for your tailbone to rest on,
Ooh, I got the pole.
I saw these other schematics where they had people like lying down, like you could sit, and then there was a person who was lying underneath you, and like their head would be underneath your butt. It was like, who would ever fly that way? Who would want that seat?
Well, which one? Who would want the one underneath?
The one underneath.
Or the one above?
Well, either one, man. Oh, dude.
So, you mentioned the thing about standing on the bicycle seat. It reminds me of Magic Mountain over in California, and they have a ride called the Riddler. And I'm a huge aficionado of roller coasters. So any of those, I'll just love going on over and over.
Yeah.
Well, the one on Riddler is a little weird because it's quote unquote a stand up roller coaster, right? So you're supposed to stand through the whole thing, which is I think kind of cool. But what they do is they give you this kind of bicycle seat to support you as you go through the loops, because you do get a lot of force, was it centrifugal force on you? And so they want that beneath you, right? But it's just not the most comfortable, especially for a guy, right?
Yeah.
It's just like jammed right up there, right?
I get it.
And then when they lock you in, you're like, oh, crud, here I am. I hope everything's situated correctly. Otherwise,
right.
prospect for more children is done.
Exactly.
And I thought, I'm just going to fake them out this time, right? So what I did is I bent my legs, so I took off a good 6 inches of my height, right? And then they locked it in. I'm like, and I stood up, right? And I was like, oh, I got lots of room. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, going through those loops and the force, you're like, oh, geez, that's a lot of force. Pushing on you, you're like trying to stand. I got off and my legs were like a little wobbly, because I went through the whole thing basically, supporting myself.
Yeah.
I had no idea that so much pressure was being absorbed by those little bicycle seats. But it is an interesting feeling. So those of you who are a little bit more enterprising.
I think anyone who has suffered torture thinks the same way. Oh, it was an interesting feeling, having the hot poker jammed into my eyeball.
That's probably how they feel.
Yeah. I tricked them at first, so I had my eye shut.
He only has one eye. We'll just do this one.
Exactly.
How odd. Well, there you go, man.
You know, I feel like
It's our Marin Open.
once we get tired of doing this project, we should just have a podcast where we talk. You know, we just talk. We just talk every week. We record a conversation.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's called the warm up. All right, so should we start? Okay, that's it. See ya.
And then we could sell our warm up conversations to other podcasts. You know, we would be the opening act.
Right.
Dude, it'd be awesome. Have a website.
Get people in the mood.
Yeah. I think that actually might be a good business model now that I'm thinking about it.
How you guys doing tonight?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen, we've got a great show for you. You're gonna love this episode of Homecoming.
No, we would be. I mean, I would hope we would get to a level where we could get, you know, the client ahead of time, and one of us would say it. You know, like those native advertising that you hear in other podcasts. Like,
Of course.
everyone drives a Chevy Malibu for some reason.
Right.
You know, and they're talking about how great the Chevy Malibu is. It's like, you all drive the Chevy Malibu in your radio station right now? How is this possible?
Well, I mean, if we get that popular, we might need to hire someone, and if we do, I'll be looking to ZipRecruiter.
Yes.
Because
Exactly. And you know, Brian, if I could grow facial hair, if I could, you know what company I would use for my razors?
what's that, Renee?
The Dollar Shave Club.
Oh yes, I've heard a lot about them.
You know, they have these things for your butt called One Wipe Charlies.
Oh no,
That's what they have, apparently, according
Is
to
that
the
sold by the
podcast
same-
I listen to.
is that the same company?
Yeah.
Wow, One Wipe Charlie's.
Yeah.
I don't understand the name.
Oh,
I mean, I understand the first two words. I don't understand Charlie.
it's just the name. It's just branding, Brian, to give it something kind of manly.
I would imagine One Wipe Chuck would sound a little bit better.
Well, Charlie sounds a little more dignified, you know, like it's
Charles would be more dignified.
well,
We got to wipe my Charles.
Charles is too dignified, though. You know, you think of like an English butler in the restroom with you, wiping your butt for you. A Charlie is more like, you know, a guy who's shining your shoes or something, shining your butt. Whereas Chuck, now that's just, I don't know. I don't even know how to, you know, what I'm going to use for that example. Like a homeless guy, a homeless guy in the restroom with you, just ogling you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wipe your butt. No, I got this, yo. Thanks.
Get away from me, Chuck. All right, Brian. Shall we get to what we're here to discuss?
Sure.
All right. Unless you got more banter. I'm always happy for banter.
We can just, intersperse the banter.
Okay. When we get bored of the actual thing, take a break, have more banter. All right. So as I wrote in my recent blog post, the last episode, yes, you picked up on it. I was a little discombobulated because of the thing with my neighbor, and I was fixated, right? So I really couldn't devote all of the attention I wanted to on the script. I don't know if you had a chance to read the entire script, and if you didn't, that's fine. I'll just point out the new additions. Mm-hmm. I did my best to read your handwriting, and I think I got most of it, and I coupled it with the recording, so I think I got everything. Like, I think I addressed your major concerns.
Okay. I'm pulling it up here, too.
All right. And I think you're going to be happy with the changes, especially to the speech. The speech that Jebediah gives. I just love that name. Just love saying that name. Jebediah.
You want to give kind of the rest of the context of what you prepared for this episode?
So, of course. So, the other half of what I was feeling last week is I really felt like I was approaching a kind of dead zone for the rest of the script. Not that I didn't have an idea of where I wanted to go with the script, but I didn't have the details. I didn't have the connective tissue that got us from scene to scene to scene. And it's, I guess maybe just my process. I hate not knowing the roadmap. Mm-hmm. And when I don't, it's just a leap of faith, and you're just hoping, I hope this is good. I hope this works. So I thought, okay, this week, what I would do is focus on, well, actually, Brian and I kind of talked about it a little bit. I would just kind of create these little bullet points, just like, blank piece of paper, put my thoughts down of where I would take the movie, different things that would happen, little details. And as I was writing it, and I did it this morning. I started this morning, and I was writing until like 2 o'clock. So think like 6:30 to 2 o'clock with a couple of breaks to like clean up my apartment, right? Eat, that kind of thing. Watch Excalibur again for the 50th time. Have you seen Excalibur, Brian?
Of course.
Dude,
yeah.
I love that. Oh, it's so good. It's like,
Yeah.
now that I'm older and I can appreciate it, it's like, this is really good. I mean, it was filmed or released in 81, so you have to forgive some of the conventions of the time, but it's just like a solid epic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I spent most of my day writing, and I thought I was just going to write little bullet points, and I think this is why I don't like doing outlines. It's because once I start getting into the groove, I start really fleshing it out. And so I started off with some bullet points. In fact, let me just pull it up really fast here. Okay, am I looking at it? Yes, I am. So yeah, I started off with some bullet points, and then it starts to like become paragraphs.
Right.
So we'll get to all of this. I'm probably just going to read it and maybe flesh it out as I speak. Mm-hmm. But the long and short of this is that sorry, I just want to have the right asset up once we get to it. The long and short of it is that I think I've written the movie, essentially. And I feel pretty good about it because now I have a pretty clear understanding of where I'm going to go, what I'm going to write, what things are going to need to happen, and what people are going to say, more or less. So I really think the pages are going to flow quite nicely, barring any objections from you, Brian.
Yeah, I'll just let you know. I did not have time to read the script because just how my day got away from me. But I did read this treatment of the rest of the movie at least 2 times, actually a little bit more than 2 times.
All right.
And man, I got to tell you that this is way more than I expected from you. Like I thought we were going to talk about some highlights of these things, but I mean, I could really follow clearly what was going to be happening through the rest of the movie. That's really exciting.
Oh, totally. And I thought I was just going to have high level stuff too. Like, all right, I got to have this happen. I don't know what's going to be like yet. Just bullet point. But then I was like, I do know what's going to happen. Oh, it'd be cool if he said this and all of this,
Dude,
The
little things in there. I'm just like, it's almost like reading your shorthand here.
Yeah.
I get to it's kid smashing time, and I start laughing because
yes,
because I could tell that when you're writing this that you're really in a creative groove.
I was so creative. Here's how I know I'm getting really creative when I start thinking up jokes to put in there for you. And towards the end, I almost started writing in little jokes. And I was like, no, let me not do this.
Yes. There's some great stuff in here, though. But I mean, like I said, it was really way more fleshed out than I ever expected. And it felt like, where we left on the last episode, you felt like you needed to kind of try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I feel like you've already done it. Like you've kind of done all the work.
Yeah.
And now I'm just going to be more of a sounding board for what you put together, which is great. I mean, this is way more than I expected, man.
Well, on that note, I don't want you to feel minimized at all because and I'm not saying you do, but I don't want anyone who's watching this to think that, just because I've kind of mapped this out that I'm just looking for validation now from Brian, because his notes from the last episode, once I was able to like step back from it, It totally made sense. And I feel like I hit one of those creative grooves as I was writing the speech. And I think it comes off a lot better.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Okay. Well, then let's write this movie.
So I'll come back to that after. I have the script up too. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of, since I don't see your screen, tell me what page you're on and I'll follow along.
So let me just see here. So I'm not going to point out every little thing because I did tighten up. I did tighten up a lot of the description and the dialogue just to kind of start saving lines and saving pages because I was concerned with how much more I needed to write. And I don't even know if I'm going to, considering, the to-do list I've presented, I don't know that I'm going to fit that all in 50 pages. So we'll see. But what was great is that, getting rid of these orphans, they're orphans, right?
If it's on another, orphans is when it's on another page.
Are you sure? It's a widow? Is it a widow then?
No, widow's on the other page.
There you
orphans
go.
On the next line. You're
okay. Right. Just killing these orphans. They really started to save pages. I was amazed. I was like, yes! Like, I think we ended on page 69 before. And once I was done winnowing, is that it? Is that the word? Winnowing? What am I trying to say here, Brian?
You're tightening up the script. You're reducing the...
Yeah, isn't there a word winnow? I know that's a fish. Winnowing. Am I saying the wrong word? Am I confusing it with a different word?
I don't know now.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. This is going to kill me. Gotta Google it.
Uh-oh.
I know. I rarely do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw winnowing.
Stop me from doing it.
Okay, hang on. Winnow.
Was that a mechanical keyboard I heard?
I play video games, Ryan. What do you want? Wow, am I...
Click, click.
What the hell? Am I way off? To remove something such as chaff by a current of air.
No, I guess it could still be used that way, though.
Well, here's the second one. To be, to free of unwanted or inferior elements.
All right.
What's the thing you do with wood? Whittle. That's the thing. I think I was confusing the two, but I do also mean winnow. So, once again, I am correct. Even if I wasn't quite sure of it. Okay.
We'll just call this episode Validation.
Validation. That's what this whole project is. It's all just validation. All right, so back to the script.
Wait till you hear my my conversation with you for our last episode.
Why? What do you
I have
mean?
something prepped.
What?
I have something prepared for you.
For this episode?
No, for our last episode.
You have something prepared for me? Oh, okay.
That I can't bring up until the last episode.
I see. I thought you meant our previous when you said last. Okay, I get it.
Our ultimate, not our penultimate.
For this season or forever?
For this season, forever. See ya. For this season. Once this script is locked.
What I meant is when we have decided to end this whole endeavor, do you have something? But okay, good. No. For this season. Okay, excellent. Okay. Anyway, so getting back to the script, here we are. Let me see.
God, I hope you rewrote some Sally stuff.
Scrum at 5. What else we got here? None of this is really that important. Well, let me just add one thing. So in the montage at the bottom of 6 and top of 7, I had considered extending this and actually making it less of a montage and more of a series of scenes where there's dialogue, just to kind of establish some of the townsfolk that play bigger roles. So, for instance, we would actually see Carl's family getting slaughtered by the bandits, by the Indian bandits, rather than just make the connection later that it's Carl's family that gets slaughtered here, right?
Yeah.
Also,
I don't think it's necessary.
Long and Bao were going to stop by Maggie's farm to like water their horses. And, we would be introduced to Maggie, Ray, and her kid. We wouldn't know what the connection is yet. We just see them, right? Maybe there'd be an interaction with Petrov, have more of a foundational element between the prospectors and Old Man Prophet. But I thought, well, and also introduce Jebediah in this as well, and the fort. But then I thought, well, is it necessary? Are people even going to remember these people when we finally get to them earnestly or in earnest later in the movie? So I just left it alone because I couldn't answer that immediately.
I think it was a good move because we're 5 minutes in to 10 minutes in the actual movie, and you can only take in so many characters at once. And I want to concentrate on these characters you've already introduced anyhow.
Okay.
Because they're kind of like the top of the good guys and the top of the bad guys really
Right.
are all here. I really don't want to even think about anyone else other than this is, to me, this is one of those benefits of second viewings. People will go back and go, oh, okay, that's cool. I see where that came from. But I think it plays just as well without. Like, when Carl, the Carl issue happens and the other ones you just mentioned, I don't think it's going to add anything.
All right. So the first big addition is, let me see here. Where are we? Hang on, Brian. Hang on.
Did you name, when you just said Maggie's Farm, I didn't even think about that, but isn't that a Bob Dylan thing?
Heck if I know.
Maggie's Farm?
I'm not Googling that. All right. So this is bottom of 16. I introduced Patrick, the bank clerk, and his little situation, which is he is the object of desire of this woman named Plain Jane, a homely woman.
Is that homely woman?
Yeah, that's homely woman.
Okay, because when I was reading the treatment for second half, I totally figured that's who that was. But I'm like, who's Patrick?
Yeah, Patrick. So the bank clerk, he in the previous version of the script, he was just known as bank clerk, and his whole role so far is to look in awe at Prophet's ore of silver dumped on his desk. Oh, that's a big ore,
So is Patrick's first scene on 16?
Yeah, at the bottom of 16. So he now has an introduction here in dialogue.
Okay.
And his own little dilemma.
You need to caps him for 16.
Oh no, I'm sorry. His introduction is in the flashback when Zeke talks about the thing. The whole score.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is after Stan has talked to Everett, and Everett says, "Yeah, okay, bring the posse in." And so Stan's going to Porter's, and he's crossing the street, and there's Patrick, who is, he's at wit's end. He's looking for help from the law to get this woman to stay away from him. So Sheriff, he's Irish. It's just like an Irish guy. Sheriff, you have to help me.
Do it, man.
And, and you got Stan. I'm just going to read these lines. Patrick, what is it this time? Patrick, she won't leave me alone. Isn't there anything you can do? Stan, there's no law against being in love. Sorry, son. Anyway.
Stan walks away and Patrick's shoulders.
Oh, we're doing this, huh?
When he turns to go, Plain Jane, 20, a homely girl, is there next to him, smiling innocently. She plucks a petal from a flower.
Plain Jane, he loves me. Patrick, I have to go to work.
Patrick runs off and Plain Jane plucks another petal.
Plain Jane, he loves me not.
Such a fun payoff later. I hope that this is memorable enough that, it's going to have to be like very like visually, alarming. Like this is what's happening.
So,
you know what I mean? Because of such a payoff later.
Oh yeah, totally. And and we can in second draft we can go back and kind of insert more if necessary. But this is where I want the first jump scare to happen, where he's talking to the sheriff, and the sheriff, can't do anything about it, walks off. And when Patrick turns, she's right there in his face, You've seen those shots, right, Brian?
Of course. Yeah.
It's so good.
I know you don't want to write direction in there, but do you want to put something that, as if appearing from nowhere? I know you don't want to add a line, but
I think they'll get it.
You think so?
I think they'll get it. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe this will get turned into some kind of like indie art house flick. And it's all in black and white and silent, Who knows?
Yeah, the whole movie gets called Pat and Jane, and it's a totally different spin on it.
Oh. Hey, man, as long as I get paid.
It begins the same way and it ends the same way for those two. And everything in between is different. We did a slight rewrite, Renee.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Renee's rewrite. Oh.
All right. So that is the first big change. Trying to think. What other
and
big
Plain
changes?
Jane is the one who gets the potion later, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the one in bed. And, okay.
So I inserted at the top of 21, after Maggie and Everett, we established that they have this kind of quasi-relationship. Everett leaves. And before, we cut back to Long basically accepting the job that Zeke has set up for them. But I've inserted a scene in between that where we are now inside Porter's with Maggie, Ray, and Tommy. And there's a new character, McBully. So we got McBully here.
Okay.
He has no name, and no one ever says his name. This is a descriptive name for the reader, just so that we know who he is and what his role is in this movie, McBully. And so McBully is basically a fellow student of Tommy's, a contemporary, if you will. If 7-year-olds can have contemporaries. And he sees that Tommy's playing with his little piece of wood, his wooden gun. McBully wants to take it away, and Maggie's kind of like struggling with him, so there's a line here, "Get away from my son." So that's going to come back later in the second half of the film, where when all the children have become infected, she gets to kill McBully when it's kid smashing time, right? She gets.
Do you want to read this one?
No,
McBully
not really.
McBully and McBeardy.
It's actually not that interesting to read. It's all just very straightforward dialogue. So basically, Ray gets involved to pull McBully off because he's a beefy 7-8-year-old, and there's a racist in Porter's as well who's shopping, and that is Beardy. It's a guy with a thick beard, the old man with the thick beard. And so, he's a Southerner who, his line here at the bottom of 21, "Just because we lost the war don't make you he's saying this to Ray, a black guy. Don't make you equal. Hell, we'd hang you for touching one of us," because Ray is holding McBully on the ground. And so, before Ray and Beardy get into a fight, Stan basically, ushers out Beardy. And so there you go. We now have kind of like this nemesis for Ray in the movie. So this is something I wanted to touch on in the discussion of what I've added is that I like it when the, I guess, major characters, I mean, I don't know if Ray qualifies as a major character, but for the purposes of this conversation, let's just say he is. I like it when these characters have their own little arc within the movie. And I always try to make my movies, when I talked about writing complex scripts, maybe that's kind of overstating things, but I do like to try to give every character, their own little story within the story, some kind of resolution to them, some kind of goal, where we can say, this guy had this altercation way in the beginning, and it's really minor, and maybe you don't even really remember it, but your brain will, when Beardy shows up at the end as a monster and he squares off with Ray, you feel a little more, it's a little more valuable within the story.
Right.
And also with Maggie and McBully. So there you go. I gave them their own little nemesis. Baby, please. Mr. 305. Okay, Brian. So there you go. Did you want to
I
say
think that's
something?
good. I mean, it's really more in relation to what you wrote for the second half, but it still kind of ties in, and that is that as I was reading through it, I was thinking about the pairings and what's happening, and the ones I really want to see. Like, I want to see. I mean, obviously, anything that happens between Long and Everett, I want to see. But I want to see Long and Sam square off. I want to see Long and Bao. I want to see Zeke and what's her name?
Sally.
Zeke and Sally. You know, I want to see what happens between Everett and Maggie. Just all these different pairings I want to see. So I think anytime you can do this, you know, I think it's going to pay off a relationship, even if it's just one little scene to help pay off what happens later. I think is cool. So it's not just like, you know, random guy that gets killed or random guy that kills.
Yeah.
You know, it means more.
That's exactly it. I always feel like when I watch a horror movie and just, you know, the town mayor or whatever gets killed randomly, even though he had a little bit of dialogue in the beginning, it's just like, well, you could have done a little more with that. Maybe he gets killed ironically because this person, you know, well, you know what I'm saying. Like, you could just write a little bit more. What's that?
Didn't vote for him and never will. Never has to again.
Perfect. See? Exactly. Yeah. Look at that. All right.
McMary.
McMary. Okay. Let's see I don't think anything else big happens actually after that. I just tighten up everything.
Okay.
And then we get to the new pages last week's new pages that I fixed. So let me just get down there. Oh, I did change a couple of things. I did change that it's Everett who kills Miss Stapleton. Before I had Stan do it because Everett hesitated.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
But I liked your feedback on that. And, it's not a problem for Everett to do it. He just does it at the last moment.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So something that's going on behind the scenes during this live recording is that I'm on a Mac and it's tied to my phone, and I'm getting text messages from my niece who has decided that now is a good time to tell me where to go when I'm visiting. Yeah. And as of right now, I've got, you can't really see it, 29 texts that have happened over the last 5 or 10 minutes. That's just constant dinging, which is interesting to try and keep my train of thought with you. And I don't know how to turn it off on the Mac just so it'll just shut the hell up. So this is great.
Yeah.
Great timing.
Hey, you know what, Brian? Here's what the future is going to be. You're going to have to pay extra to remove these things, to have the option to have it not beam directly into your brain. Did I tell you I have this idea for a dystopian future, or a sci-fi movie where the cheap rooms in a hotel, the walls are all just digital advertisements.
Okay.
And you have to pay at the high-end rooms are the ones that are quiet. Right? All the other, we'll say, entry-level rooms, you're just bombarded with ads. Everything is an advertisement. Yeah. And maybe, even the cheapest rooms, it's just, beamed into your brain, so, you just have to deal with it. You know? Right. You go outside and, the walls and, the billboards are all blank, but it's because it's being projected into your brain. When you look up there, you see it. You know what I mean? How awful would that be? You can't shut out the world, they force it into your mind. Ooh,
that would be the worst.
That is the worst.
The only issue I have with that idea is that you're probably going to be advertising to the people who can't afford the better rooms and the better, the quality of life that you're talking about. So they're the worst ones to advertise to.
Well, I think that even poor people buy stuff.
Get rich soon. Lottery. Get rich soon. Lottery.
There you go. Exactly.
It's all something you can advertise, right?
Yeah.
You got the next great idea? Patent it. You know?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
All right. Solve my own issue. It sounds like a Black Mirror issue or episode, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Like it could be.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. I guess I'm going to pitch it to them next time.
There you go.
All right. Where was I? Okay. So we are close. So I'm on 58. Let me see. I tighten this up. Okay. So 59, middle of 59. This is where I started changing things. So let's see. I'm trying to think of what to start with. Okay, so we'll start with Jebediah. He says, Jones, have the men police these bodies, then separate the wounded. Jones starts going about doing this. He's just following orders. And Jebediah, what I envisioned now is that Jebediah's trying to make sense of all of this. This is crazy, right? This is crazy. Like, he just shot this zombie. He's never heard of a zombie before, never experienced a zombie, but he sees how zombies work now, right? And while he's doing this, he's hearing the soldiers, like, they are aghast at what just happened, right? So I have Soldier 1, they're looking at their comrades, right? That one over there is McHenry. I grew up with him. My God. Soldier number 2. And maybe they're not even talking to each other. They're just muttering to themselves,
Yeah.
I knew all of these men. I served with them during the war. Soldier number 3. They were my friends. I killed my friends. God, forgive me. And then, Jones comes back. The sick or the injured guys have been separated. They don't know what for. Maybe they think, oh, this makes sense. This way they can treat us better. That's all not stated overtly here.
Mm-hmm.
But now, Jeb, this is the big speech, and I took your notes that it should be about protecting people. And what I did is, when I had a vague understanding that when you enlist, you take an oath to protect the country. And I wasn't sure how far back that oath went. Apparently, it goes back to the beginning of the country, like Revolutionary War, and it hasn't changed much. So I was like, wow, that's cool to know, right?
Yeah.
And it basically says, when you're an enlisted man, that you swear to protect the Constitution of the United States against, all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? At least that's the verbiage now. Before it was that you swear to be true to the United States of America, and to honestly and fairly, to serve his country honestly and fairly against all enemies, opposers whatsoever, is what he said, is what the oath is. Mm-hmm. And so Jebediah, he plays on that. I don't know if that's really the right terminology, but he reminds the men. You can call it manipulate or whatever, but I think, if I was a commanding officer, I would remind the men as well. Like, that's what I would fall back on if I had to task them with something that was just awful.
I think, actually, I think it's not only that, I think this is the right direction, because when their heads are all screwed up with what's going on, he can help ground them very quickly in something that they can all literally rally around, and something that's very familiar to them. And I imagine, especially at this time, when you're enlisting, it's more of, maybe even now, when you're enlisting, it's not like you're being drafted at this point. Right. So if they're enlisting because they want to, then he's really going to help anchor them in an actual reality versus this thing that they're experiencing. So I think this is a good move to start off the speech like this.
And I have the company responding, they're kind of disorganized, so, very muted. Yes, sir.
Then I think you should do this part, man.
Huh?
Because it's all new. I think you should just perform this part rather than describe it.
All right.
It takes longer to describe.
Yeah, that's fine. Jebediah. Man, when you enlisted, you affirmed to be true to the United States of America, did you not?
The company gives a muted, yes, sir.
Jebediah. and you swore to serve this country honestly and and faithfully against all enemies, opposers whatsoever?
The company gives a louder, yes, sir.
Jebediah. Men, we have a new enemy. Not man, nor savage, or beast. This enemy is sickness. A plague unlike anything we've ever seen. This disease turned our comrades, good men to the last, into monsters. And as difficult as it was, you men fulfilled your duty to protect this land. The impossible decision you made today will save countless lives well into the future.
The company stands a little taller. Jebediah looks at the wounded men gathered by the wall. They stand with pride.
Jebediah, for your actions here today, you are all already heroes, and your names will be spoken of with pride by generations to come, so that your sacrifices will not be forgotten.
The company cheers.
Jebediah. Lieutenant Jones, you may proceed. Jones. Firing squad! Ready!
A portion of the front line of men aim their rifles at the wounded. The men are confused at first, but then realized.
Private. Wait!
The man has a bite on his hand. He breaks ranks.
Jones. Aim! Private. For pity's sake, Captain, please! Jones. Jebediah. Hold! And I think all of this is the same.
Yeah.
So, I took away a couple of the lines here where Jones is kind of like subsuming Jebediah's role here.
Right.
I liked your feedback, that it really should be Jebediah giving the commands. So, Jones is just, he's giving his feedback for the captain to consider rather than controlling the situation.
Right.
So, when Dodson offers the gangrene, cut off my arm like it's gangrene, Jones says, you don't know that will protect you. You don't know we'll be safe. So, when Dodson's now hysterical, please spare me, please. Jebediah pulls his revolver and fires a bullet through Dodson's heart. And Dodson is like shocked, right? And Jebediah, this addition from you, Brian, Jebediah is like, no. And then, he nods to Jones, and Jones says fire. Firing squad kills everybody. And I like this addition from you as well, Brian. Jones asks how many times do we have to kill them? And, Jebediah shoots Dodson in the skull twice.
Nice.
Right? I think it's good. It's good until, I can think of something better. But right now, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So a couple things. Let's go back for just a second to the lines which were at the bottom of 59 with the soldier.
59. Okay.
Yeah, the soldiers 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So when you started reading this, actually, you were talking, and of course I can't help myself but read ahead
Of course.
as you're talking through this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm envisioning the movie at this point, which I think is the best feedback to get. Like, I'm not stumbling.
Right.
And it's funny because as this was happening, I had like these two different things that happened. As the soldiers were talking, I found them off screen, right?
Sure.
And I found like Jebediah is just kind of talking, and is surveying this, or he's like surveying the situation, and I could just see the carnage, and it's just like panning around him, and these soldiers are talking off screen. And then when Jebediah is talking later, I could see the opposite. Like Jebediah is talking, and all of a sudden you're seeing the reactions of the soldiers, and they're just kind of perking up, and their chests are starting to, to fill out a little bit, and they're starting to come to, their shoulders are going up, and I could like envision this whole scene happening. It all came alive in this version, man.
Yeah. As I was writing it, I was like, I was finding that groove, It's all about finding that groove and just writing it until it shallows out.
Totally. And I think that, I don't know who would play this because like, in your head, you go somewhere, right? So for some reason, should I tell you who I have in my head?
Do it. Yeah.
Jebediah?
Why not?
I got Charlton Heston. Jebediah. he's just like graveling through the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a badass. Maybe it's because we talked about Chuck. I don't know, but
yeah. Well, he's dead, Brian. Sadly.
I know.
And I think I'd have to.
That doesn't stop people.
Well,
these
I know.
days.
Hey, they're bringing back Roy Orbison as a hologram, right? You can actually attend concerts with holograms now. So,
that's right.
I think we'd have to elevate the rank as well. I think captain might be a little too low for a guy that old.
Right.
I'd hate to be a captain and be 72 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he'll be 50. Doesn't matter if we're going to bring him back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Middle-aged Chuck.
All right. So this ends with, just capping it off with his men. Now they're, they are more or less on board. And, Jebediah says, man, this terrible and awful responsibility falls on us. And our resolve in this endeavor must be unwavering. Are you with me? And then now that they've all participated in this, the company roars,
It's all earned.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's all earned now. And he's led with his actions.
Right.
And his words. So I'm like, yeah. It's totally it's now.
So now we go back to Epitaph, and I kind of beefed this up. I added a little scene in front of the storefront so that we orient ourselves. Right now there are only a few places within this town that I have described, and I don't want the town to feel small, right? I don't want it to feel like it's just one street, right? And all the stores are on the same street. So I've added this new location called Abandoned Storefront, even though it's just within eyesight of Zeke and Sally's saloon. Mm-hmm. It is kind of a new location where they're herding all of the undead. So I'm just going to read the description. The townsfolk of Epitaph have done a good job of rounding up the infected and undead and corralling them into an abandoned building. Outpost soldiers and men of all backgrounds work under the guidance of Father Espinosa. So I give Father Espinosa a little bit more to do in this movie up to this point, where it explains why they're not just killing all the zombies. They don't know that they're zombies. They don't know what's wrong with them.
Right.
As far as they can tell, they look like they are alive, right? And so Father Espinosa says, be gentle. Remember, they are all God's creatures. They're just ill. So that's why they're doing their best to keep them alive and just push them into this building because they can't control them.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Some of the wilder infected are lassoed and dragged on horseback.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then, of course, the windows are getting boarded up. All right.
Yeah.
So Sally and all of that doesn't really change much. Let's get to Carl in the doctor's office. So this, it sounded like you had a big problem with it last time, and I totally agree. So I changed it up a little bit. So Carl doesn't want to leave. After Doc says, okay, now you're good to go, Carl doesn't leave. Doc Murphy looks over at Stan. Doc doesn't know what to do. So Stan's like, Carl, why don't you wait outside? We got to talk to Doc. Carl, no, I failed her once. I ain't leaving her side no more. Stan, oh, I'm sorry. Stan puts his hand on Carl's shoulder. So now it's starting to get a little physical, right? Stan, take it easy. We just want to. Carl moves into a defensive position between Molly and the men. He looks for a weapon and finds a scalpel. Carl, take it easy, nothing. You stay away from her. Everett, put the scalpel down. She's sick. We want to help. Carl, like you help, bud? Like you help that schoolmistress? God gave my girl back to me. I ain't letting you take her away. So now the men are kind of surrounding him because they see that he's this danger now.
Yeah, he's getting hysterical.
Yeah. So when Ray moves forward, Carl points a scalpel at him, right? I'll just read this. Instinctively, Carl puts his hand on Molly, but his fingers are too close to her mouth, and she bites at him, right? And when he feels that, she doesn't bite him. He's already bitten, doesn't really matter. But when he feels the movement, he gets distracted, and that's when Everett pounces on him, knocking Carl out.
Yeah.
Because Everett is really good at that, apparently. Just knocking people out. It's what I do.
Not with the butt of his gun, huh? Just knocks him out.
Boom.
Bam.
Exactly. God, I love my job.
Let's do it for me.
All right, so this line probably needs a little work, but I just wanted to explain why Stan leaves. Stan's like, damn it, let's put him in the cell. And so this gets Ray and Stan out of there. And so now it's just Everett and the Doc, and they can kind of like talk a little more frankly. So I know you didn't like this line, but I thought it was appropriate. I think it's almost ironic. And so Everett says, okay, Doc, what is this? Now, one of your notes was that Doc seemed a little too, like, even keel in this whole thing. Like, he's just got these two zombies here in his office, and he's like, oh, well, I don't know. Just let me look at this clinically. Well, this one, she's missing her brain, but she's still moving around. Guess that's fine. So I now have him going into a medicine cabinet, and he's got a flask of whiskey back there behind all the medicine.
Yeah.
And he reaches for it, and he starts drinking, right? And I think that'll be a nice visual, since so far we've seen him be like this very like grounded guy, and now he's drinking because of what he's seeing.
Right.
So the dialogue is the same.
So before we go too much further,
Yeah.
A couple things. So as far as Doc drinking, that totally makes sense now. It gives him a really neat little nuance and a little bit of another layer, which I dig. You might want to consider, he's like in the middle of his sentence and he just pulls out a flask from his pocket. Doesn't even go in extra. He's always drinking. He's always even keeled because he's always drinking. It's just that's just who Doc is.
Okay.
He's self-medicating. It's the Doc.
That can work.
And then, damn it, let's put him in the cell. I guess my only issue with that is, again, if it was me and I was in that situation, I probably would just tie him up right there.
Tie him up in the doctor's office?
Yeah, just tie him up wherever he is. He's not like he's superhuman strength or anything. They don't know that he's infected yet.
Well, I don't know. I think that it's just kind of weird to tie somebody up. Like, is that even common practice? Like, hey, this guy's a little unruly. Let's just tie him up. Tie him up and put him in this chair. And now he's just sitting there, like, mouthing off to everybody.
Yeah, maybe if he's I know you don't want to add lines. I almost feel guilty asking for lines, but
it's fine.
Let's
put a line.
Let's put him in the cell until he cools off or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, that's a place where he's secured. We can concentrate on what we're doing. Then it makes more sense. It just feels like it needs a little bit more.
No, that's fine. How about I can probably fit that into one line. Let's let him cool off in the cell. Something like that.
Yeah, so he's not like under arrest or something.
Yeah.
And they know he's just a troubled guy because his daughter's been hurt, so let's let him cool off in the cell. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I won't have these notes for you afterwards, by the way. So
what's that?
Yeah, you're going to have to go on memory or rewatch this.
I'm just going to rewatch this. I'm the only one who watches these things, Brian. I just have it playing while I sleep.
Now, if people do hear this in the future, because we have such a huge audience of, let's say, 5 or 6,
yes.
Understand that I just don't like watching myself. If it was just René, I would watch this every single time, and he knows that's true.
All right.
And if we're lucky, we're going to get some episodes like that are, René only.
Hey, you know what? We can do that. You want to do that? You want to just be this disembodied voice?
No, I'm talking about.
I can look up. What now, Brian?
The other. No, you should. No, I'm talking about the little ancillary shows that you want to do. Those I'll watch. Where it's just you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
No, of course, I hear you. The fact that I don't have time to even give you the descriptions for the podcast version of this, the audio version, that tells you how much faith you should have in the mini shows throughout the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should have done a review on Excalibur.
I thought about it, and I thought this is something I'd love to talk about.
Yeah.
Like why it's so good and why, it speaks to me and all of that. But, it's just not related to this project. So in a future project, absolutely. All right. So, I changed something here where when small girl dies, Doc doesn't say, it's always a tragedy when the little ones go. Instead, he just says, she's gone. She's gone. Or
There
whatever.
you go. I was like, voice for confusing
He
me.
drinks now, man. Come on. Yeah. He's gone. She's gone. Whatever. Okay. So those are the big changes there.
Yeah.
I do have, when Everett is talking to Maggie outside on 66, I did add that he has a room at the Grand. I assume people are going to know that means a hotel at the Grand, and that she should take it. And then I also have that Stan comes out after dealing with Carl in the cell. We don't need to see that, but Stan comes out, basically does what I think a sheriff would do, is he starts kind of like putting the people at ease. Like, hey, it's under control, right? So he says, folks, this is all real confusing. We working. God damn it. we working real hard. That's weird, Brian. We're working hard to figure it out, but right now it's under control, and you shouldn't let it interfere with your lives. We'll have a town meeting once we have some answers.
Yeah, you might want to even be stronger with that, because the police person would probably even exhibit more control than this. Folks, this is all under control.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So it's even more.
But would they say that though, Brian? Control? Like, is that a concept?
What do you
back
mean?
then? Like right now, I can see police saying it to.
I'm just reading your lines. Under control.
Of course they would say it, Brian. Come on. How dare you call me out on while we're recording? How dare you?
But would they really have town meetings, Brian?
So anyway, Brian, you were saying you were giving me some good notes here, some good feedback.
Oh, just the idea of exhibiting more control than you have, I think would be something that people would understand, would be said by a police officer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even the part about working real hard to figure it out and have a town meeting when we have answers. Just go about your business. Everything's under control.
All right.
I mean, not to fall into cliche, but I think something like that would be okay here.
Okay.
Even if he's, not.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I want to add some dialogue here with townsfolk, like just yelling questions from the crowd, just to make this seem a little more alive. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you want to actually write it out, though?
Of course. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing that. Extend this thing into half a page, just have freaking 3 townsfolk saying, "What's going on?"
My only issue with that is, dude, I read the second half of this movie. It's even less than the second half of this movie.
Yeah.
You've got a lot there.
I know. That's a whole movie by itself.
I kept reading. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. This is dense.
Yeah.
Because this is dense.
That's really dense.
So when I see things like you're talking about, adding more here,
I
might
know,
be nice.
right? This is my dilemma.
I think I would just put it like I probably put this in the old parking lot, come back to it.
All right.
If you're like, I actually have a half page to kill here. Cool.
Okay. That's a good idea. Let's do that.
I don't know if it's really necessary. I think you can get the point across with this minimalistically.
Yeah, I'll just say in the exposition right before that, Ray joins Maggie while Stan addresses the growing murmuring crowd. That way, the Foley guy can just like add murmur.
Or it could be the anxious.
Hubbub. Do you know what that's from, Brian?
I can't remember exactly, but I know that there are certain words they say in the background.
Oh, well, I'm actually quoting a very specific movie. It's Christopher Guest does these mockumentaries.
Of course.
And the first one I think he did was called Waiting for Guffman. And it's near and dear to my heart. Have you seen this movie?
Of course.
Oh, okay, great. Well, that's near and dear to my heart because I used to do theater, right? Regional theater, community theater.
Yeah.
And it's like it perfectly captures, in a hyper realized way, but it perfectly captures a lot of what community theater is like. And there's just a scene where the actors on stage are basically directed to, like discuss because this new information happens, and they just turn to each other and they make these sounds, hubbub, 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 hubbub. It's just hilarious to me. Anyway, that's what they'll do here, Brian. Hubbub.
Hubbub. I believe his first mockumentary was Spinal Tap, by the way.
Oh, that's right. That wasn't his, though. That was Rob Reiner's.
I think Rob Reiner directed it.
Well, yeah, but I know Christopher Guest was in it, but it's Rob Reiner's film. The other, like Waiting for Guffman.
Did he actually write it, though?
Yeah, those are all Christopher Guest mockumentaries from that point on.
I thought he wrote Spinal Tap as well. I know he wrote like Best in Show and all those other ones, but...
Oh, well then I don't know, Brian. I just don't consider Spinal Tap a Christopher Guest one because it wasn't his completely. But that's fine. We'll throw it in there. We'll throw it in. The Black Album, I just love that. It's so black. So good. Okay. Where was I? What were we doing? Okay, so more missed words here. Long, when Everett walks in there, Long is no longer just like looking at him steely-eyed, right? He's like looking at Carl, who's unconscious on the ground next to him, and Long says to Everett, he's supposed to say, thought I was getting lonely. But instead, he just says, thought was getting lonely. Anyway.
And Everett says, he interfering with investigation.
The strange disease. Everyone's becoming a caveman. All right. So I did get rid of the whole, watch your back, Marshal. Watch your back. So now it just ends with, from what I've seen, it isn't safe to stay here either, or stay either. And that's as Everett is exiting.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
All right.
I didn't hear performed, which is usually what I really like, but I didn't read ahead, so I'm just reading it here real quick. Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to here in the last 23 minutes of this show. Let's just get through this dense to-do list. So one thing I left off on the to-do list
probably should do before we do that is remind people.
Right. Yes, of course. Forgot we have a new schedule here.
Yes.
So
we are on schedule.
All right, so I encourage our audience to please visit our website, letswritethismovie.com. This is where I put up new pages every week, or at least I try to. Actually, I have always put up new pages every week, so forget my hesitation there. This is where you can find new pages every week, usually on Thursday, unless, my week is weird. And let me just click one of these so you can see what this is like. Okay. So I give a little blog post about what's going on, what I was thinking as I was writing this, and then you can scroll down, and there's a PDF reader here, and you can just go through all the different pages. Now, this particular week, I put up the entire script as it is so far because I made changes throughout the entire script. But typically, in fact, let me just show you. I don't know why I have to describe it to you. So let's just do episode 10. So episode 10, pages 58 through 62 was a very short script. Here we are. So it's just a handful of pages, and you can click through them, read them, give us feedback. And so we have a form here. We encourage you to read the pages and give us feedback on the script. Anything you like, you don't like, suggestions on where we can take it. Help me solve any problems that I've brought up in in a recent episode. And you can also engage with me on Twitter. Well, looks like we got a notification here.
Sounds like Everett got one.
Exactly. So got some new followers. And so here we are. This is our feed. We are growing, 937 followers. That's pretty good. Had some encouragement from Duncan Ralston here, who gave me a Shia LaBeouf gif telling me to do it, to not let my dreams be dreams, to just do it.
Just Shia LaBeouf it.
You've seen that thing, right, Brian?
Of course.
Okay. Just want to make sure. So I do my best to reply to everybody. Always happy to see activity here and engagement. So, don't be shy. And of course, lastly, as you are watching this video on YouTube, you can leave any comments, questions, or concerns on our YouTube channel as well. So let's get back to Brian and me. Here we are.
Hello.
Okay, Brian, before we do the to-do list, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I will just tell you that my plan, since I'm sure you're just going to kind of be going through this step by step.
Yeah.
My plan right now is I'm going to be writing as you do such. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to map out just the character trajectories and figure out where they're going to interact because, like I said, it gets pretty dense here. So I want to make sure I follow along and make sure it makes sense from a story standpoint.
So what I'm going to do, just because I think it's easier than me describing what I wrote, I'm just going to read these. And then if I feel like something needs a little more explanation or something just like stands out and I want to talk a little more about it, I want to unpack it, then...
I love unpacking.
I know you do. Then I'll do so. Otherwise, I'm just going to read this like we did in episode 1.
Cool.
Okay, Epitaph to-do list. Oof, this coffee.
Did you have a cough button over there?
No, I'm burping
quietly.
Burping quietly, Brian.
Yeah, sounds great. It's the alternate name for this podcast or this show.
Burping quietly. Yeah, that's what people want to watch, right? They want to watch a guy burping quietly.
Yeah, how quiet was he? Turn it up.
ASMR burping.
I could do ASMR and you could pick your earwax or whatever it is.
Delicious. All right, here we go.
Go ahead and read now, René.
I will, Brian.
Thank you.
Listen to my earwax. It's really flaky tonight. All right. So really quickly, this is this is in chronological order of events and different scenes that I need to get to get to the end of the movie. So initially this was just going to be like a scratch pad, like, oh, I got to add this character. And it eventually just turned into, well, let me just write the movie, but in truncated form. So here we go. Sam gets caught up on recent events. Sam communicates to Long that he will break him out. Nightfall, the town tries to go back to normal. Man at the bar develop Bill symptoms, Bill being the guy who spits, from drinking tainted beer, acidic spit. Courtesans yoo-hoo aggressively like a hunter's call. I think that's going to be like really cool looking when it's nighttime and like Patrick's walking up and then these girls, it's like licking their chops, right? And they start yoo-hooing. Yeah. And then like girls come to the window and they're all yoo-hooing as well, like trying to draw these guys in.
Right.
I think it's
like
going to be.
It's like a cross. When I'm picturing like a cross between a banshee and a siren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Prophet demands Boone, who's the bank manager, show him his silver in the vault because we have to remember that this evening is when the transport is coming, and Prophet just he wants to look at it, make sure it's safe. Stan and Everett patrol together, thinking everything is under control, returning to normal.
So can I pause for a second?
Of course.
One thing that surprised me when I read this because of where the movie was going and where our discussion was going, I didn't realize that the heist was going to play back into the movie at all.
Oh,
I almost
really?
felt like, yeah, I felt like it was just going to be left behind, like we were all getting set up for the heist, and then it was just going to be dropped because of these extenuating circumstances. So I was kind of excited to see it come back. Like, oh,
Yeah,
it's coming back in a big way too.
totally. This is
Yeah, so
yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah, I had that in mind since the more or less the beginning because Sam, the whole reason Sam is part of this and wants to save Long, it's not because he likes Long necessarily.
Right.
He wants money, right? So that's why I really played it up in the beginning about like I ain't no purse snatcher, you know. Anyway, okay. So Sam sets the infected and undead free who run amok. Yes.
So the very first thing you said with Sam, second thing is Sam communicates to Long that he'll break him out.
Yeah.
So Sam's going to go to the jail. I'm trying to remember where Sam is right now. Sam
is with Zeke and Sally.
Okay. And so he's going to be the only one who goes out to go to the jail. Just trying to understand how's that going to play?
So basically, once he learns that the plan to rob the bank is basically impossible, Sam's like, oh, screw that. Let's bust him out. Right? So Sam is going to like, they don't know Sam. No one knows Sam. Right?
Okay.
So Sam is just going to kind of like saunter up to the side of the jail where the, Long has the little window. And Sam's going to start talking to him. And Long's going to be like, oh, I know that voice. And Sam's going to say, yeah, hey, I'm going to bust you out. Just be ready. It's going to happen tonight. And Long feels like, oh, okay. Sounds good. So there you go.
Okay. So I like the idea of, Sam kind of recentering the movie as the heist. And maybe he gets like into an argument with Zeke and Sally about it. They're like, do you not know what's going on right now? Have you not seen anything? And he's like, I don't care about any of that.
Right. Exactly.
We're about to get paid, yo.
Bingo. Yeah. Yo. Authentic Western vernacular.
Y'all, we got to get paid, y'all.
Hey, that works. That works. See? Just takes a little bit of massaging. Okay. So, yes, Sam. So now it's nighttime. Sam sets the infected and undead free, who run amok, eating or chasing off horses.
Okay, so the reason he does that is diversionary, or
yes.
Okay.
And this will showcase the infected doing their thing. Like we get to see all the different, like the headbangers, the yoo-hoos, the spitters, and then also just your basic zombies.
Right, the ones who've been twice turned.
Yeah.
Twice baked potatoes.
Exactly. Yes.
So Everett's going to be patrolling with Stan just because, maybe he's men down, or maybe because there's, any law enforcement is good. Because Everett wouldn't usually patrol, right?
Right, yeah. I just figure, now that there's this problem, a big problem in town,
yeah,
it makes sense that, you got two lawmen. Why not travel together? Make sure everyone is like calm.
Right. Okay.
So once the method of transportation out of the town is cut off, and people realize this is a big problem, I want to reestablish. I know it says establish, but I want to reestablish how remote this town is, and that the next reasonable way to get out is via train, and that won't happen until the next morning.
Your director is going to do that anyway. There'll be some really long establishing shots.
Totally.
So yeah, but that's good.
And so now that there are a lot of problems, because you got all this infected running around. Now we're going to have the outpost soldiers. Now it's not a fort, right? It's just like maybe 20 guys at most, and they're going to try to, do what they can against these attackers. But they decide they're going to hole up at the outpost in the center of town, and this is of course where survivors are going to congregate because it just makes sense, and we can reestablish Jimmy and Sarah as recurring characters throughout the movie.
So I apologize for not remembering this, but the soldiers that are here, where were they before?
Well, they were here the whole time. They were here before. They have not had a major role really in anything because there really hasn't been a need for them to show up and do anything other than just, if there are Indian attackers on the town, of course they will provide the force to protect the town. I did add them in a new edition for the abandoned storefront, so they are the ones who are corralling the undead.
Okay,
so
but
now,
these are
what's that?
are these soldiers that are stationed over at the fort, but they work in Epitaph, or they're just positioned in Epitaph?
I assume that's how it works. I didn't research that.
Okay. I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so Jimmy and Sarah, they are some of the survivors, and we see that some of the soldiers are infected due to like wounds, right? Like we as the audience know, that guy has a bite. That's going to be a problem, even though he's not symptomatic yet, or he's not showing symptoms.
Yeah.
Like maybe the guys are on the wall of this little outpost, and this guy's kind of like scratching at this like bite mark on his neck or on his hand or something, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we go to the hotel. I have these double paragraph breaks to kind of group the scenes together. So this sequence is we're at the hotel. Ray, Maggie, and Tommy are laying low because they're hearing pandemonium is breaking loose in the town, and there's commotion in the hotel. And then we cut to the jail. Carl wakes as an infected, and he attacks Long. Long is able to subdue him, but then he hears pounding on the jail door. And then back at the hotel, there's gunfire in the lobby, and someone pounds on Maggie's door trying to break in. Now, it would probably stand to reason that whoever's trying to break in would say something, like if they're a human being, like, Maggie, are you in there? Something like that. I don't know if that's going to happen. But anyway, so someone's trying to break in. The audience is meant to think, zombies, bad guys are trying to break in. The door gives way to reveal Stan. And you would think it would be Everett, but it's Stan who's saving them. Maggie asks, where's Everett? So now we're back at the jail, and the door gives in, and you think, Everett's here to save Long. No, it's these headbangers, the guys who smash their heads against stuff. Right. So they rush the cell, ramming it with their faces, and they're like so forceful that the bars are coming off, like whatever the anchor points are. I don't know what those are called. The anchor points are of the bars are coming loose.
Yeah.
So now,
just the bolts.
What's that?
Just the bolts coming off the cement or whatever.
Yeah, I just
breaking loose.
Wasn't sure if there was a technical name.
Yeah.
So now, the bars are like, coming closer to Long, and he's more or less helpless as these guys, like, their arms, or I think that would be a cool shot where the bars are like this far from his face, and like arms are like reaching for him.
Yeah.
And then that's when Everett comes in and he starts blasting them away. Boom, 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 and so the headbangers go down. Now, while that's happening at the bank, Prophet is, he's in the vault. He's admiring the silver. Boone is just outside the vault, and he's letting, here he describes how airtight the vault is. No one touched your silver, right? And the Prophet is in there with his lantern, like looking at it, like watching it glisten, like, yeah, I'm the man, right? And then, Boone, he looks over, and I think there will probably be a contingent of local guards who are meant to receive the transport, but they're going to be lured away. Going back to that whole hunter's lore of these yoo-hoos, like we'll have them like down like an alley or whatever, like yoo-hoo, right? And the guards kind of get lured away to get their throats slashed out, right? And so when Boone turns and he sees that they're missing, one of these yoo-hoos is in the doorway, and she's all like lit up in that, that glitter, that stripper glitter. You know what I mean?
Slitter. Exactly.
And then they all jump on him like piranhas, and they just start like ripping the flesh off of him. And Prophet, he gets freaked out, and he shuts the vault, right? Shuts the door and traps himself inside. I mean, there's going to be like a little handle on the inside. I assume that's how it works. but he can just hear Boone screaming on the other side of this vault, trying to claw his way in.
Yeah.
But he doesn't think, 20 minutes into the future that he's going to run out of air. I don't know if it takes 20 minutes, probably a little longer. But basically when we cut back, there's going to be a shot where his lantern goes out, right? Like it gets dimmer and dimmer, and he realizes that there's not enough oxygen for his little flame. Right. And then you start hearing him gasp, and then it's totally dark. So just hang on to that idea. So Boone is devoured. Everett and Long, they sneak into Porter's goods, and maybe there's a little exchange there where Everett explains, because Long wants to know, like, I can't believe you saved me, Marshal. You watched my back. Whatever. Anyway, that's not the judgment of the law. No man should die like that. And they hear this noise. I don't know if that's the dialogue, but I'm just saying. They hear this noise in the back, and they see it's Father Espinoza, who has killed Porter because he had been attacked, right? And Father Espinoza is feeling guilty, and so he's praying over the dead body. And, Father Espinoza says, you know what, I need to gather my flock. They need guidance, whatever. I was toying with this idea that Father Espinoza was going to rely on his relationship with God to be protected. And then, he would go out there thinking, God will protect me. And then he gets eaten alive. And then I wanted to have this little funny scene where Everett and Stan and Long are just looking out the window like, and then Long says, that's why I'm a Buddhist, or something like that, right? But I don't know if that makes any sense. I just wanted to have that little dig. Anyway, I took all of that out. That's gone, because I didn't think that was really appropriate for what I was trying to do here.
So remind me real quick, they're in Porter's goods, and have we seen Porter?
No. Never.
Okay, so...
I mean, not that I call him out, but why not? I mean, you can have him in the background. He doesn't do anything.
Okay, I just stumbled on it earlier, so I was like, I don't remember this guy.
Okay. So at the hotel, this is where I started just writing the movie, as you can see. At the hotel room, Stan hears Everett on the other side of the door, lets him in. Is surprised to see Long. There's a small argument about his presence, and the noise attracts infected who rush the room. Stan gets pinned by some furniture, like an armoire or something, falls on him, and he's like, and it's really heavy, let's say. Everett and Ray try to keep the door shut, and then 5 infected break through the windows. Long calls for a gun, and now he's still manacled, right? No one wants to give him a gun because they know, well, he's a killer. He'll probably just kill us. Why would we give him a gun? And so it's Tommy, the Maggie's 7-year-old kid, who grabs a gun and tosses it to Long at the last moment, and Long finishes off the attackers. So there were 5 attackers. Revolver holds 6 bullets, so now he has 1 bullet left. Once the attack is defended, Everett demands the gun back, but Long is reluctant. Stan threatens him, but Long says he could still kill one of them with the last bullet. Stan replies, you can shoot either Everett or me. Whoever's left standing kills you. So then Long points the gun to Tommy, right? Which puts everybody on edge. Like, oh, this guy, like checkmate, right?
Yeah.
But because Long, that's not Long's style. Like, obviously he has a code, right? He doesn't kill people who are unarmed. He doesn't kill children, doesn't kill women. So he just wants to show them that, hey, I have the power right now to kill you without actually killing you, which is why, I don't have kids, but if I am being threatened by someone who does have kids, I just threaten their kids.
Yeah.
That's like my go-to.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm not vulnerable that way.
I think it played really well, actually. A thought about this, with the 5 guys coming in, he's got the 6 or the 5. Excuse me, the 5 bullets. So he kills all of them. When I first read it, I was thinking that he's in such close quarters with these guys, and he could definitely kill Stan or Everett. He could definitely take one of them down, regardless of how many bullets he has and how superhuman he is with a gun. Yeah, he's close quarters, and one of them is going to kill him. So I don't know if it's even necessary that it's a last bullet type of thing. He could have a full clip at that point, realistically. Yeah. And he's only going to kill one because they're right there. They could both be pointing their guns right at him. So yeah, take one of us out. You're not going to get us both. I kind of pictured almost like in this triangle. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like he's got to go boom, boom. By that time, he's dead. I don't care how fast you are. It's just not going to work. So I don't know if it's really necessary to have the 5. You can if you want to, but I think it'll play either way.
I hear you.
Because I think the emotional center of this is what Long does, and then doesn't.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, you know what? I think if someone asked me, René, as a screenwriter, what is your biggest strength? And the first thought that came to my mind was, I write really well for dumb people. And so, and what I mean by that is I make it very obvious, what the parameters are here, what the restraints are within the logic of the film. Yeah. And so, I think if I was writing for a more intelligent audience, Brian, I think that would make what you just said is like, that's perfect. Of course, I would love to do it that way. But I think I also need to write for like the lowest common denominator guy who's like halfway watching the movie and texting, at the same time, like, oh, well, he's got a lot of bullets left. He'll be fine.
That is not your audience. It's not your audience, René.
Hey, man, if you
disagree.
You want to write for Hollywood, this is what you got to do. All right. Okay, so Stan wants to execute Long, but Everett stops him. And this is where the whole, law is the light speech that Everett's going to give about how, when you're surrounded by darkness, you have to be the light, and the law is your candle in the night. That's basically the gist of what he's going to say.
Yeah, basically, how I asked for Long to pick up Bao's salt shaker or whatever it was earlier and put it right, those little things. I think it'd be cool if later when we see Everett rising from the undead or as an undead, if the light, like a flame or something like that, goes out as well. You know what I mean? Kind of setting the mood like, oh, the light has just literally gone out from the guy who gave that speech.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That could work because there's fire everywhere at this point.
Right.
Dude, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. I'll work it in, Brian.
Cool.
I'll work it in.
Yeah, you will.
Don't mind your parents listening to that kind of talk.
What do you mean? Work it in. Get it in the script.
All right, control. Okay. So the survivors hole up, and Maggie's tending to wounds. This is just going to be more like scrapes and scratches, that kind of thing, from like broken glass. And this is where we can kind of humanize Long a little bit. And she's going to ask, like, how did you become an outlaw? Were you always an outlaw, kind of thing, or whatever? Because he legitimately just saved their lives, right? So I think it makes sense that she, being kind of a neutral party and having a real reason to be thankful, would be the one to draw this out of Long. And get this
plus
backstory.
He's got a relationship with women, and so he's he's got a respect for women. He's not going to kill them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I think it definitely played all right.
So this is where the flashbacks are going to come in. I think it's not a bad place to insert them. I was thinking of having them inserted at different times. Like we get Long's backstory, and then later we get Everett's version of it. But as I was writing this, I was like, there's no time to fit Everett's. Like I can't just stop and say, oh, hey, I know we're in this big like third act climax, but hey, let's pause. Let's pause and have Everett tell us a story. Gather around, everybody. The zombies all gathering around. Oh, I love stories.
So are we not going to get Everett's backstory?
It's going to happen here.
Oh, Everett's is going to come here too.
Yeah. So
I see. So we're going to see both here.
Yeah, Long's going to tell his story. I don't know if we're going to come out of it or not. And, or if it's just going to be one full thing. And then, Long, he just realizes, oh my God, I didn't know. I didn't know that your family died on that train. Because doesn't it feel kind of weird to like we're in a flashback, we come out of it, and then, and then what? Everett's like, that's what you think happened? Is that it? That's where your story ends? That's where my story's just beginning. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird.
Okay, so let's just talk functionally. I like the idea of something like this, a soft scene where he's explaining something as a break from the action that just took place.
Yeah.
I think you have to have that ebb and flow with an action movie. That being said, I also think I don't have a problem with breaking into the third act where it's balls out, and because if there's something that triggers that feeling in Everett, specifically with regards to Maggie and Tommy being threatened, losing the woman and the child, that really draws it out for him. Like this isn't going to happen again, and however that takes place. And I know that's not 100% helpful, but I think it'll even raise the emotional stakes rather than just the physical stakes of them trying to stay alive. I mean, maybe they're huddled together at some point. Maybe there's just a moment where they can have that discussion, like why, what is it? Why is this so important to you? Or why is she so important to you? Or maybe he's explaining to her specifically, and while he's explaining, I've lost people. I've lost people close to me. I've already lost one family, whatever it is. I think that it just, you're kind of like, you keep raising the stakes. And I think it actually would be great to see that as a payoff for the act 3 too, because at this point you're really feeling more, like, hey, Long's actually a pretty good guy. He's got reason for what he's doing, and we're not seeing the whole story. I like a story that unfolds.
All right. I found a perfect place for it. Let's do that. I'll split it up.
Okay.
So this is where I thought I would only have rough ideas, but they're actually kind of fleshed out. So quote unquote rough ideas. So the group has to get separated. See, you can tell I thought it was going to be rough because it's just like Cro-Magnon man talk, and I'm just telling you what needs to happen. So group has to get separated into Stan, Ray, Maggie, Tommy as team 1, and Everett and Long as team 2. My idea was that maybe there's an attack that separates them. Mm-hmm. Or, that allows Long to escape, and Everett's like, no, he's not getting away from me, chases after him, and Stan says, oh, well, I'm getting these guys to safety, let's go to the outpost. So when Everett catches up to Long, Everett is ambushed by Team 3, which is the bad guys, Sam, Zeke, and Sally. Long is freed, and now Everett is, he's in the minority here. But instead of the bad guys killing Everett, Long sticks up for him, essentially as like a professional courtesy, because Everett stood up for him when Stan wanted to kill him. So, Team 3 decided to force Everett to go with them to the bank. He's not going to help them rob it, but basically, I don't understand how this is going to work yet, but Everett gets dragged along. I don't know if that makes sense or what. Like maybe he gets put in chains. I don't know.
Yeah. So a couple things on this. I feel like there are some parallel ideas here that I'm hoping become even more prevalent. Like there's a single-mindedness that Sam has in terms of wanting to get the money, and he's going to go after that no matter what it takes. He's like, we're going to stay on task here. And I don't know if Long is going to have that kind of motivation as well here, but I like the idea of that happening. And at the same time, Everett has his single-mindedness. Like, if he is trying to get away, it's like, no, I don't care what's going on around me. I'm this close. I'm not going to let this guy get away. I'm this close. I'm not going to let this money get away. I'm not going to let this criminal get away. I like that idea of these two driven, people going after what they want, even though they're disparate things. I like the idea that they're both going after what they want, even though at the end of the day, neither of them is going to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a cool idea. And I also liked when I read this, I was like, that is so cool that now Everett is kind of in Long's position and we're getting that kind of mirror or that parallel story going on. And let's see how he reacts in this situation. So I kind of took it as it's now 4-on-1. These 4 are armed. They can easily disarm him. And they're not going to let him out of his sight, because Long won't let that happen, because he is a bit of a humanitarian, just like Everett saved him. No man should die like that. Maybe he can have a line like that. Even a lawman shouldn't die like that, or something.
Yeah.
But I like all these little parallel things that are happening and kind of diverting power.
Exactly.
I think that's really cool.
Well, it's inspired by that movie I told you about, Brian. This is not exactly how they did it, but I just like that shifting of power, and I hope you'll watch that movie with me, because I think you'll really like it.
This is the Horde?
Yeah. Or just watch it on your own, whatever. Anyway. Okay. So, yeah, he'll go with them. Okay, so the reason that Long at this point doesn't really care about the silver. Long wants to get out of town. I didn't write it here, but the motivation is that there is a transport coming in, and this is a transportation out of the town. They just have to be able to secure it from the men who are bringing it, and then they can all leave. They can all, they don't have to run through the desert on foot 200 miles to the next town. All right, so Team 3, which is the bad guys. Team 3 looks for Boone to open the vault, which was the original plan. So they go to the apartment above the bank, and of course Boone isn't there because he's already dead. But Patrick is there because he wanted to check on Mr. Boone, right? Loyal employee. They drag Patrick down to the bank thinking he can do something, but he doesn't know the combination. So Sam, he's getting really frustrated because the plan B was to blow up the vault with dynamite, but Bao is dead. So now it seems like there's no way to get to the silver. And so Sam's getting increasingly frustrated. He wants to kill Patrick. Maybe he's beating on him a little bit. And then, Long won't let him kill Patrick. Right? Maybe he's drawn his gun on Sam, and now Sam's like, you're going to take his side or whatever. And this is when Prophet, who is now a zombie, opens the vault. And we'll just say it's like really a well-oiled vault. So the door opens silently. And so we find out the Prophet is a zombie, and he attacks Sam from behind, and so Sam gets killed.
So how did Prophet become a zombie? I know why he died, because of suffocation, but was he injured before that? Did I miss that?
No. Why, as the author of this universe?
Yeah.
We'll just say he was affected by the Indian curse,
So anyone who dies right now is going to be affected, regardless of because I thought if you were cut of some sort.
Maybe he drank some of the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I added all these different things that could have affected the people.
Yeah.
The only one that we can't really explain is the first soldier.
Right.
Okay, I'll throw in a line where Prophet says, I just had a big glass of water, some of that well water. Now I want to look at my silver.
He couldn't get his hands on any of those emeralds, could he?
I suppose it's possible, but I didn't consider that.
Just because he's always after the valuable, metals.
Yeah.
I don't know if he, or maybe there wouldn't be any in the vault.
It's what I could do is, instead of Bud and Bill taking the jewels home, they take them to the bank.
Right.
And then, they say, put it in the vault. And so when Prophet goes in there, it's like, what the hell is this? He's all playing with it. Oh, emeralds. Or something. I don't know.
Glowy emeralds.
Exactly. That's normal.
The light goes out. They're still glowing.
And they could even say like there's a sign, like it's on just a small part of the shelf, and it's for Bud and Bill.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I can't believe they found something in that mine. Like he's all upset about it. I could have that just to give it, some connective tissue that, hey, this is not just there's a little more connection between these guys. Like, I've established a rivalry between these prospectors.
Right.
This will be kind of the culmination and their final revenge on him, even though they're already monsters themselves.
Yeah, even like he could be moving the emeralds over, when Boone's still alive.
Yeah.
But his back is turned or something, and he's like, just putting it in his own pile, for example.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Greed kills.
Oh.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, if I have enough page, I'm going to park that, Brian. If there's enough pages. All right. So Sally, who's the lookout at this point, calls out that the stagecoach transport, she sees them in the distance and they have lanterns on the stagecoach, I'm assuming, for the silver is approaching in the distance. And remember, it's black in the desert, right? Anything outside of town is just black. So she can see them coming. Team 3 watches, Long's like, all right, this is it. We're going to get out of here. We're going to make it, right? But then he sees that they stop and then they get turned around in the darkness, and they're like, what the hell? And that's when they see that bonfires start getting lit up around the town. And that's how we know as the audience that the army has arrived. And maybe we can cut to the army in the desert setting them up, and you got Jebediah like, all right, you men spread out 50 yards a piece or whatever, right? Get those Gatling guns over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think we need to get back to Jebediah at that point.
Just so I can do that voice. Okay, and then
so quick question logistically about the stagecoach. When we talked about it earlier, did you mention that it was going to be coming at night?
Yeah.
Number one, and number two, would anyone be traveling at night with horses through areas that are unlit?
Well, I don't know. I want to say that because Prophet these are like mercenaries essentially, like they are private security. Because Prophet, who is relatively wealthy, has paid for their services to be here as fast as possible, that they would do whatever they could to do that.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Not a huge point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Father Espinoza, who has gathered his parish, he sees the fires and he thinks, there are people out there to protect us. And he leads his parish out to them down a main road. And this is when Long's team sees them get mowed down by Gatling guns. And Father Espinosa's like, we're safe. We're not sick or whatever, like, our saviors, thank you. Praise be to God. And then, it's just his body dancing from bullets.
Right. In the shape of a cross.
Yeah.
On his riddled body.
And then we cut to Jones, and he crosses himself. You know what I mean? All right. So that's now we as the audience realize, all right, so now people in the town have not just the undead and this disease to contend with. Now they have a human factor, which is probably the worst factor of the worst variable of all the bad variables they're dealing with. And this is probably where Long will realize, hey, we've got one last shot. We got to use the secret passage at Sally's. And so that's when they kind of split up, and he basically tells them, okay, wait, let's back up here. Everett realized that the outpost soldiers will lead. Okay, so Everett realizes that since Stan and his love interest have gone to the outpost, that the outpost soldiers, once they see the army is there, that they're going to go, the outpost is going to have everybody go to the army, and they're just going to get slaughtered. So Everett is like, no, I got to save these people. And this is where Long splits up his team. He tells Zeke and Sally to be ready for them at the saloon so they can get out of here through the secret passageway. And Patrick is going to go with them. And this is probably where I would insert Everett's flashback. Like, Long's like, we have a chance to get out of here and survive. Let's go, right? And Everett's like, no, I let some people down before, or whatever.
People you know.
Yeah, people you killed.
Better than you realize.
Exactly. Look at my pocket watch.
Okay, I'm a little bit lost here.
Okay.
Just so you know. So Everett realizes that the outpost soldiers will lead survivors out.
To the army.
So the army's not just going to kill everyone. They're going to let their people back, you're saying?
No. The outpost soldiers don't know that the army is killing people.
Okay.
They think that, hey, these guys are from the fort. The outpost soldiers, possibly they're from the fort.
Mm-hmm.
These are people we know. We are the survivors. Let's go out and they'll protect us. But what they don't know is that once the army sees them, army's going to just kill everybody.
Okay.
So that's why Everett is worried that, wait a second, if Maggie's with them, they're all going to just get killed.
I see. Okay. So he thinks they're going to rejoin and take Maggie and Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha now. We just go with Everett to save Team 1. So why does Long do that?
Well, now it's because Everett tells him about his flashback.
Okay. So he's feeling... Is it guilt or is it that he feels like he owes him?
So I'm hoping at this point that, Long and he
buddy.
have kind of like got that buddy cop thing going on. Now, maybe it's not strong enough at this point, but I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping he was moved by the whole light in the darkness speech. Maybe he can even say something like that. Like Everett can be like, why are you helping me? And Long can be like, well, your light in the darkness speech really moved me.
Even though I'm a Buddhist.
Exactly.
I think something's going to have to happen between Everett being forced to help them rob the bank or go along with them and this point so that we show that Long is going to give him some rope, basically. I don't know if he gives him his gun back, that we're all in this together. Once the bank is, no longer in play.
Who gives who his gun back?
Long gives Everett his gun back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that, this shows that there is some professional respect, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, as Patrick, Zeke, and Sally head to the... It was so good.
This guy.
Patrick is
This is where you got in a really fun mood.
Patrick is separated when Plain Jane attacks. She chases him and eventually, I can see this. We're going to have revisit the whole, they're walking along and it's he's on the far left of the frame and then he looks to his right and then the camera suddenly moves like this and Plain Jane is right there in his face. Right. Ah! It's going to be so good.
Especially if he's just like, oh God, rolling his eyes as he's, just getting limbs ripped.
Yeah.
Which might take us out of the movie a little bit, but would be really funny.
So she chases him and eventually corners him, ripping off his limbs in a macabre, he loves me not game. Finally ending on he loves me when she takes his head.
Only you, man. Only you.
Here's the thing, man. People want violence in horror movies.
Yeah,
you need to have it.
I had no problem with any of that.
Well, I'm just saying.
It's funny. I laughed. So, that's what, right?
I don't know how she's going to do it, though. Does she have a weapon? Or has
No.
With her claws? Just
she pulls limbs, man. She's just superhuman strength. Speaking of claws, by the way, your yoo-hoos.
Yeah.
I don't know if I guess when in my own little head canon here, I was thinking that one of the things that they're going to be doing is showing that they've got these beautiful long nails, as these women, and then I don't know if the nails actually grow into something or they sharpen or whatever. Maybe they're nothing and they just start using them as talons almost.
That's no, totally. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if they're bones are exposed now, and they've been sharpened from like clawing at stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see. I'm still toying with that. All right, man. Jesus, look at all of this. Just a wall of text, Brian. Just a wall of
This
text.
is hour 3 of the movie.
I know.
And in hour 3,
dude, I'll be writing in shorthand.
After intermission.
Have you ever watched a movie that had intermission?
When I was young, I think there were some.
Dude, there's a movie called, I think it's called The Civil War, or Gettysburg. I think it was called Gettysburg.
Ugh.
And I studied Gettysburg. I love that battle, right? And it's a 4-hour-long movie, and there's an actual intermission. Anyway, that's another story. So,
like our show has for one of us.
What?
It said like our show has for one of us.
Yes, correct. Correct. All right. So Everett and Long pick up Chief and Mortimer. So they as they are going on their way, they run into these other survivors. Kind of want to have Chief with just like a wood cutting axe, right? Or maybe like a log splitting axe, and he's just like taking down dudes, right? Like he's like this force to be reckoned with. And then there's Mortimer, who's just this dumpy guy, like and he gets saved. But Chief has also been fighting, right? So his knuckles are bloody from punching the undead, and their blood is mixed with his blood. So it's not a bite. It's not a traditional like infection that we as an audience are familiar with. So I don't want the audience to like really think much of it, right? And I think that'll be a neat kind of reveal later when they talk to Doc. Anyway, so once again, these were rough ideas, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do here. So I just wrote Mortimer dies in some fantastic fashion. But then I thought, it'd be great if we ran into the Yoo-Hoos. This is where we could have it. And what I'm envisioning now is that he is being chased by just regular infected, and he kind of hides in the shadow of this alley, and he thinks he's safe because these infected run by. But then, he sees in the distance like just this outline of a speckled body. And we've been trained to know that those are the Yoo-Hoos. And then she gives a Yoo-Hoo call, and then all these other bodies like step into the alley, and they all just start Yoo-Hoo, Yoo-Hoo. It just echoes down, right?
Yeah.
I think that'll be awesome. Yeah. And I would like there to be like a shaft of light between the Yoo-Hoos where they're hidden in the shadows and where Mortimer is, so that when they come running at him, we, the audience, get to see what they look like now. And because they've been eating all these men, like they're no longer voluptuous in the way that we want them. The curves are all in the wrong places now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like distended bellies. Like it'd be so awesome.
But they still got like the netting on their legs.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so good. So Mortimer's gonna die. It's not in any kind of like ironic way. He just dies. Whatever. Okay. So then we cut to the outpost, which is also overrun because the infected soldiers have they've turned. Sarah and Jimmy, they manage to escape. They go in a different direction. Team 1, which is Stan and et al., they run in a different direction. They end up in the schoolhouse. In one of those situations where they're like backing in, right? Like, okay, we've lost them, right? And they're backing in. And when they turn, we see all the kids are at their desks, and maybe like the room is littered with like the bodies of their parents or something, right? And all the kids are just at their desks, like bloody mouths, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe badass. And then they start doing the whole, going through the alphabet.
Yeah.
And then it's kid smashing time. By this time, maybe Maggie's picked up a shovel and she's just smashing faces, Ray's picking them up by their legs and like swinging them around. You know what I mean? I don't like kids, Brian. I don't know what to tell you.
It's your movie, buddy.
All right. Well, maybe we'll tone it down. We'll see. Okay. This is where McBully gets killed.
Yeah.
You get that Sigourney Weaver moment. Get away from her, you bitch.
There you go.
I love that line. All right, so after that, Team 1 and Team 2, they meet up, and they agree. Everyone puts their differences aside, more or less. Maybe there's a little bit of tension between Long and Stan. I don't know yet. They agree that they need to fight their way to the saloon area, but go to 9 Lives first because they got to save Rebecca. But first, they got to tool up at the gun shop. Now, one of the things on my to-do list, I didn't put it here because I kind of forgot about it, but I was thinking maybe I need to introduce like a smaller character who owns the gun shop. Just so that they can reference it, like, we got to go to Tony's or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. What do I need? Guns. Lots of guns.
Neo, this has never worked before. Or, no, I'm sorry, no one has ever tried this before.
That's
why it's going to work. I'm like, what? How does that make any sense? Anyway, still love that movie.
Neo, this is just a great movie. Deal with it.
Exactly.
So they're all going to go to the 9 Lives and save Rebecca first?
Yes. Well, they're going to go to the saloon. The 9 Lives is across the street, so why not, is the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like out of the way.
I thought it was just because the crazy yoo-hoos were at least starting there. Maybe they're all littered in the streets now, but...
What's the resistance here, Brian?
The only one who would really want to go save Rebecca would be Stan, right? And maybe Everett.
Yeah.
I don't know if the other ones would be like, that's cool. I'll let you know where the secret passage is.
Well, I mean, I hear you. I just feel like they're a team now. It's like they're not just going to be like, well, check you later.
Lates.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, question mark on if I add a character for the gun shop. It just kind of feels weird and arbitrary. Like, we got to get some tools. They all turn. There's like guns and ammo. It's like behind them. Oh, that place. I totally forgot about that place. Why don't we just go there?
I mean, in one of those early scenes, you could always have some of Stan's guys going to Porter's and some going to the tool shop or some going to the gun shop to get ammo or something.
Yeah.
Just to kind of set it up. I don't know if you really need a character necessarily. Feels like we have a lot of characters already that are named.
Right.
I'm forgetting a few of them. Like sometimes I trip over like Mortimer. Which one's he? Or Rebecca? Oh yeah, Rebecca. Okay. You know what I mean?
Right. No, totally.
Just because they're like almost third tier at this point.
All right. I think it's enough that they just say, we need some firepower, and they all turn.
Yeah. Do they need guns or do they need ammo?
Both. I mean, I want Rebecca. I want Maggie here to have a rifle.
Porter's may have it in the back. Something.
I mean, it's possible, but
just trying to limit the amount of.
We got a getting ready montage here, bro. We need that. We need the getting ready montage.
At the 200 minute.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know what? This movie,
it out, you'd be like, dang, there's a lot of stuff here.
Dude, it's going to fly by when you're watching it, even though it's 2.5 hours. Be like, oh, man, I could have gone for 3.
2.5 hours.
I can't wait for the director's cut. All right.
The writer's cut.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so they have the getting ready montage. We got bluegrass version of AC/DC Back in Black. I'll try to rush this for you, Brian. I know you got to go here, so. Or you want to just
read it, dude.
You sure? You want to just continue this later?
No, just read through it.
All right, here we go. They stand on the roof and they agree on the battle plans. They fight their way to Doc Murphy's. Inside, they find Doc standing over the beheaded body of Claudette. Doc is holding a bone saw and his back is to the survivors. He explains how Claudette bought a love potion from Petrov. This is what the whole thing with Petrov was, because she was feeling neglected. She thought, hey, let me win his love back through this love potion. But it changed her. And she tried to kiss me on the cheek. And he had to kill her by beheading her, sadly. And this is where he explains the infection spreads through the blood and saliva. And he turns slightly, so we don't really see his full face. But he sees Chief's hand. And he's like, he's starting to turn because that's what's being hinted at. You're infected. Yeah. That arm needs to go. And when he turns, he's missing half his face because that's where Claudette bit him
Yeah.
kissing him on the cheek. And so Stan kills him. That draws the infected in the area, and so they got to move on, and they herded 9 lives. So
Plus, I see that part, like he's missing half his cheek, and he fires up the bone saw too, to take off Chief's hand. That's when he gets shot. There's a lot of noise then, right?
well, the bone saw, it's not powered. It's just a saw.
Oh, what's a bone saw then? What does that mean? What is that?
It's a saw that cuts through bone.
I don't know what it is.
What is a crank?
Is it like this? Just a saw?
It's just a saw. That's freaking Civil War, bro.
All right.
Yeah, that's why some people you get shot in the limb. It sucked.
Ugh.
Yeah. Especially you didn't have any morphine. Oh, you just felt it all as they're sawing through your leg.
Whiskey.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So Long and Stan find Rebecca in her room, seemingly unharmed and not infected. Stan hugs her, but she eyes Long. Long shades the single lamp in the room with his hand for a moment to darken the room and finds that she's covered in the green meteorite dust. She looks like she's about to bite Stan, so Long shoots her in the head. Stan, of course, loses it, and, he wants to kill Long, and he blocks the door with an arm war and starts choking Long. And, he's in such a rage that Long can't, fight him off, and, Long is about to die. Everett is trying to get into the room because the arm war is, blocking the door from opening all the way. He can only get his gun barrel through, and he shoots Stan in the back of the head. So, I don't know if that's going to work out, really, logically here. Would Everett... Well, whatever. We'll discuss it later. Anyway, so the commotion draws the hordes of...
So my only issue with that is, as I was looking for the big finales for the characters, I really wanted to see Everett and Stan argue it out one last time. Not just him shoot him in the back of the head. I wanted him to make a judgment call, and have either the law on his side or have I'm not sure what exactly, but something where he can stand on the higher moral ground and actually consciously shoot him as a decision or kill him as a decision. I think that's just cool because I kind of want to see that because there's been bickering and disagreements throughout the day or a couple days, whatever it's been. And to have it pay off like this, I was kind of bummed actually that's what he gets. You know what I mean? I want to see that last cool Everett, to Stan, you're just not getting it, or you're not the lawman I am speech. You know what I mean?
I don't know that there's time here, man. I mean, the momentum is going,
I know.
Maybe it can be a one-sided thing where Everett is yelling at Stan, moralizing with him, trying to convince him, don't do this.
Yeah, and Stan could just be losing. He killed my girl. He killed my girl. Just choking him.
Totally.
It's like it doesn't matter, or so, I don't know, something, just trying to calm him down to finally just put him out. I like that. I do like the idea of just something there to kind of finish that relationship.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just going to be what's going on in this room? Boom!
Oh.
Exactly. Oh, that was Stan?
Damn it.
Do. Okay. Don't worry, that's going to be fleshed out a little bit. I'll add maybe 2 sentences once, because this is all happening on page 120, Brian. Realize this, okay? Okay, the commotion is drawn. Hordes of infected undead. Sarah and Jimmy run from the horde and meet up with the rest of the survivors. Everyone runs to the saloon, but Zeke panics when he sees the hordes approaching. He flees into the secret passage and bars the cellar doors behind him. Unfortunately, Sally has been drinking the tainted beer and kills Zeke. So maybe we could even have a thing where Long is running over there, right? And Zeke sees the hordes right behind them, and he starts freaking out, and we get that closing the door on Long's his face, the disappointed face, no.
Yeah, my head's somewhere else.
Okay.
My head is with Sally, just because there's not a lot that we see of her in the movie, but I really like her. You know what I mean? Like
She'll have more lines.
It's not just the voice that you did, but I mean, I like in the first 60 pages or whatever of the movie, I like her. She's just likable and she's cool and she's down to earth. And she's also the one who staved off execution.
Yeah.
So I kind of want her to be like, just a little bit stronger than the other people who get infected. Like she doesn't necessarily try to attack Zeke, but she pleads with him to kill her or something like that. Do it. Rather than attacking him, she stops herself, and begs him to kill her instead, which he does. But I like that, she's still even now, this broad is going to die on her own terms. Even though she's been infected, she's got that. It's a little bit of a superhuman thing, I know, especially in the context of everything you laid out. But she's already positioned a little bit as like someone who's already been bigger than life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, it's just something cool.
Well,
for her.
So she has to kill Zeke.
Oh, or maybe she kills herself or something. But whatever it is, I like the idea of. I guess that doesn't play as well if she's going to kill Zeke first.
So, I mean, I can work in the whole she's trying to control it and telling Zeke to kill her, and he can't do it, and so she ends up turning and killing him.
Yeah.
Would that be satisfactory?
Yeah, maybe it shows a little bit more depth between the two of them as well.
Yeah, well,
I can't. And maybe it's even like, because it sounds like they kind of sass each other as well. And maybe, you know what I mean? Like the way they talk to each other, it could even get a little bit tender before it happens.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'll work it out once I get there. I'll have about a line. It'll be dual dialogue, just like in Safe Space. They're talking over each other. All right. Survivor's Last Stand. As the women work on hacking the doors open and the men hold off the undead, Chief gets drunk and grabs his tomahawks and goes to town because he's got the drinking superpower.
Yeah.
But he eventually turns and he kills Ray. So, I wasn't sure how Ray was going to die. Initially I thought Ray was going to be the guy who punched too many guys and now he's infected, but I think this is a more interesting way that he could have survived if it weren't for this essential betrayal by Chief, who couldn't help it, right? He did his best. Anyway, so Ray gets killed by Chief. Chief, I don't know who's going to kill him, but he's going to die here. And so the position gets overrun, but then Long sees Bao, and Bao reveals he still has the dynamite in his belt, and Long shoots it, blowing off the front of this bar, but also destroying the immediate threat.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason the other men survive is because they dive behind the bar as Long shoots the dynamite. I didn't write that here, but that's what happens. So a new horde is approaching, but that gives them enough time to get through the cellar doors. Sarah and Jimmy get through. Long goes through. Everett goes through, and he turns to help Maggie and Tommy.
Hold on. You're going so fast I can't keep up. Because my head is like, I'm absorbing stuff you've been saying.
Yeah.
So before you get to the survivors, run into Sally. Or wherever you are.
Okay.
So returning to Ray for a second.
Yeah.
It might be nice if Ray is killed by Chief while he's protecting Maggie and Tommy, specifically. Because he's working there voluntarily. He's not, indentured servant or a slave or anything like that. He's got a real relationship with them. I think it'd put a little emotion behind just him dying at the hands of Chief.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can make that happen.
Okay. So, where were you? I'm sorry.
I'll just start from the position, or the dynamite blowing up the bar.
Okay.
So, since the horde is now kind of stopped until the next wave, they're able to get through the door, hack their way through with the axes. So, Sarah and Jimmy get through. Long goes through, Everett goes through, and he turns to help Maggie and Tommy go through.
Yeah.
Now, why they don't go through first? Plot convenience. Everett said, let me check it out. Let me check it out first. That's fine.
Yeah.
I like hanging out with the zombies. Or maybe Tommy's like, Ray, wake up, Ray, wake up, or something.
Right.
And Maggie's like, he's a zombie. He's a zombie now. Leave him alone.
Tommy, no, don't. And then Tommy kills them both, essentially.
Exactly.
Kids.
All right, so.
Message of the movie, don't have kids. Got it.
Yeah, don't have kids, especially when there's a zombie apocalypse. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, so as he's trying to help them go through, debris, because the building's on fire from the explosion, debris falls from the burning roof and blocks the way, but not completely, right? Everett can still see through the debris, and then the horde devours Maggie and Tommy.
Brutal.
Yeah. So then the survivors are running down the passageway. They run into Sally. Who's got a kiss for Sally? And then Long shoots her. Kiss this, bitch.
I guess Sally's not going to be shooting herself.
Nope. I get it. Long shoots her in the face. And he tells Jimmy and Sarah to right away get on on Sam's cart, get out of here fast, because the army, they must have heard that shot basically. And he flicks the wedding ring back at Jimmy.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ding.
He tells let's go, Marshal. And so Marshal, or Everett, reminded of his loss because it's the exact same kind of situation. Everett can't let it go, and he reminds Long, like, you're still my prisoner, or whatever the dialogue's going to be here.
Yeah.
And Long's like, I can't let you take me in. And so there you go. They have their last duel. Long rides away in the sunrise, and Everett gets up as the undead. The end. I know, man.
That's like a half hour right there.
Dude, this is an entire movie. Entire movie right here. Oh, you mean just this last bit? Yeah, this is like half an hour. Dude.
Have a lot to write. This is going to be an interesting first edit when you're done.
It's going to be so sad, bro.
I know.
All like these great parts in the beginning. It's going to be truncated so badly.
Right. It's no longer a heist.
They're just meeting there for drinks.
Exactly. They're meeting at the bar called the Secret Entrance.
Sam comes in. I want my drinks, and I want a drink with Long. We're busting him out.
Wow. Well, I mean, honestly, looking at where you're going, I honestly think you figured it all out. Like, I don't have any notes for you per se, other than the things I gave you off the cuff. The thing that struck me as I was reading through this, in terms of, I always look, me, I'm always trying to look at movies and what they mean and, what they're trying to say. And at the end of this, with who survives, it's what Sarah and Jimmy and Long, essentially the three people who survive. And Sarah and Jimmy have such a bit part in this. They just like kind of come in the beginning, and then they're there basically at the end. I know they're there in the wherever it was.
They're sporadic.
In the outpost or whatever, but they're not main players or anything.
No.
So it felt like he who does good deeds necessarily doesn't mean you're going to survive. There are lots of people trying to do the right thing or just trying to survive. So to me, it felt like there were some nihilistic type of there was definitely a theme of nihilism through here, but there was also ethics and morals playing on a personal level. So I don't know if you as the writer are trying to communicate something like that, or me as the reader typically is trying to just read into it a little bit. But I'm curious where your head is in terms of, I mean, honestly, the way this is playing out, this is your script. Anyone you want could survive.
Yeah.
Why those three? And why not others?
So, I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but there was a little bit as I kind of like stepped back and analyzed basically what you just said, right? So, one message I want to get across, and I don't want to be heavy-handed about it, but basically that you don't have to be necessarily a good person to do good things, to do the right thing. That there's always the people are always presented with the opportunity to do the right thing, and it's just up to them to do it if they're going to do it. So you may have been like a criminal, just like a dirtbag your entire life, but now here's the opportunity to like save somebody or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can still do it, and you are being good in that moment. So that is the kind of a subtle message I'm conveying with Long, that here he is, essentially a cold-blooded killer, but in this situation, he's the right man to do the right thing. Okay. I don't know. Does that make sense to you for that, for Long? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So for Jimmy and Sarah, basically I wanted them to represent this kind of streak of innocence and goodness that's in everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily through dumb luck, but I wanted them to survive to remind the audience that, good people should survive, essentially. Like, it makes us feel good to see that good, finds its way through dark situations. Even though they're a small part. Like, I didn't want it to be like, well, look, they're good people, so nothing bad is ever going to happen to them. Like, they still have to struggle and survive, but it's just a streak that's running through this darkness.
Okay. I think the subtext of why they survive is because they're a happy couple and they don't have kids. Well,
there's that too. I think that's what Long is going to say, right? Promise me you won't have children.
He shoots him in the genitals.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm curious how you're going to handle the end, the duel, if it's going to be kind of like a traditional duel between the two of them, because I could almost see, based on like what you just said, something that might be interesting. And I have a feeling, knowing you've got like this end scene already figured out completely in your head. There are certain things I know that are milestones for you. And I'm guessing that's one of them. Like, you've got that last battle between them, that last fight. But, I mean, to me, it would be really cool based on what you just said in terms of him being a guy who's not necessarily a good guy, but does the right thing. When he has the choice, he does the right thing. But once he realizes that Everett's not going to stop going after him, or he wants to take him down, just like as soon as he realizes that, just killing him, or incapacitating him somehow before it even becomes like a fair duel, because he's just like, I'm not a good guy. I helped you. I helped lots of people, or tried to help the people here today. I let these guys go, didn't keep their jewelry.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I'm not a good guy. And it's kind of like that Han Solo Greedo thing where, I just kind of dug, the way it was originally done, that he's just like, no, this is like it's a simple decision for me, 8 1 + 2.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know how you're going to play it out, if it's going to be a little more of a speech centric type of thing. They're going to, spout some
Old West dialogue. Yeah. No, I get it. So,
but it might be cool, if it goes that way, and it leaves the audience a little bit like, oh, stunned. Like I really like this guy. At the end of the day, how do I feel about this guy?
Yeah.
Well,
so initially the idea was that we've just gone through this genre-bending story. It's a zombie movie now. I wanted to bring it back to the Old West and the whole, like, they step away from the horses, right?
Sure.
They go to clearing or whatever. And it's just like the close-up on the eyeballs and all of that, right? The twitching.
Sure.
But then the more I thought about it, and the more kind of like realistic I was starting to make this. I thought it would be, Long is about to get on his horse and his back is to Everett this whole time. And Everett's like, I can't let you go. And Long's like, I can't let you take me. Right? And maybe Everett's going to say he's going to start saying something. And Long just like turns and shoots him. Right? And to once again demonstrate that even though Everett has his gun already pulled on Long, Long is so fast he can still kill him.
Yeah.
And there you go. He shoots him.
I would love that.
Maybe Long says something. I don't know. I would like for him to, basically.
You watch your back. You watch your back. You watch your back.
You are too busy watching my back. That's what you get. I suggested you to watch my back. That's how I win. These 5. Anyway, maybe I would want him to take the edge off, the audience thinking, wow, this guy's just such a dick. Like, I thought they were friends now. He just kills him like that. But I don't know what he could say.
Maybe that's when he tosses back the ring. Unless the other two go. Maybe they're there, like in the outskirts. I don't know. I'm just saying, just to semi-redeem him. He's not just a jerk.
But that's just like, I think that would make it worse. Because it's like, I just killed this guy. Hey, you guys take care. Here's your ring back. Yeah. You be safe.
Yeah, right. You're not going to try to kill me now, are you? All right. Because if you were, I'm pretty fast is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
He kills Jimmy and makes a move on Sarah.
Yeah. Kills their horses too. Boom! Boom!
He waits forever to turn into an undead and just shoots him in the head. Sequel my ass.
All right, Brian.
Then Patrick comes out and he was never dead. Never.
He's just the head. It's just plain Jane carrying his head. All right.
Woo. All right.
Okay, Brian.
All right, buddy. Well, just like the movie is going to be, this was a long episode.
Dude, this was a long episode.
Yeah, this is another two for one.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
If you like it, you like it. If you don't, I hope you like it. Please like it. Okay, man. Well, it was good seeing you. Have a safe trip, and I will see you next week.
Thanks, bro. Talk to you later.
Is that true? Yes?
See me next week?
Are we doing this next week?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's go back. Get back to that tone, Brian. See you next week.
Bye-bye.